Hello, my name is Blake Patterson, and welcome to Real Values. On this week's episode, I discuss Alexander Payne's The Holdovers. Alexander Payne once stated about his work and life in the following quote, "I get asked, how can you have such failures in your films? Well, what else is life about? There's some sense of constant failure in something. Humor gives you a distance from it. When people complain about a movie having failures, it speaks of their interest in stories with no interest in the human condition rather than those features and artists they dismiss." The quotation may be from an earlier era because it still pertains to how many viewers regard modern cinema by auteurs with zero interest in conforming to the current standard for storytelling. Payne has been fascinated with the 70s character-driven films he grew up with from his youth, and he has applied those characteristics to his work since Citizen Ruth. There are hints of artists like Hal Ashby, Bob Rafelson, and Michael Ritchie through Payne's movies because Payne has viewed his motion pictures as extensions of the New Hollywood era. In The Holdovers, it is as if Hal Ashby fully possesses Payne in creating his humanely socio-political vision of three different people during Christmas break in 1970. After an imaginatively retro creation of an R-rated banner and logos for Focus Features and Miramax, Payne captures images of wintry life for various people before depicting a professor's period of grading final exams. As Payne establishes the atmosphere, Payne gradually develops opening credits in the vein of an Ashby film until a shot of the professor's empty seat at a table in the cafeteria appears. At Barton Academy, the cynical professor, Paul Giamatti's Paul Hunnam, attends a meeting with his headmaster, Dr. Hardy Woodrup, one of his former students played by Andrew Garman, who informs Paul to be in charge of watching students who cannot return home with their parents during the break. The two reasons for Paul's requirement in the role are a professor's lie about his falsely ill mother and Paul's refusal to pass the student of a senator whom he deems ignorant. Through this early dynamic, Payne and screenwriter David Hemmingson delicately examine a significant theme of classism and how it is apparent through the prejudices based on different backgrounds through the three main characters and the others around them. In an assembly, Payne focuses on the cafeteria administrator, Mary Lamb, played by Divine Joy Randolph, who is grieving the loss of her son due to his active role in the Vietnam War. Payne acknowledges a sense of condescension toward Mary beneath the sympathetic facade, and this layering between hidden feelings and false presences occurs throughout. When the intelligent but obnoxious Angus Tully learns about his mother and stepfather going on a honeymoon instead of caring for him, Angus, played by newcomer Dominic Sessa, becomes a part of Paul's small group of holdovers for the Christmas break. Even within the brief scenes involving the other holdovers, Payne examines the hierarchy within their small circle based on age and race through the short threads involving the snitch, Alex Ollerman, played by Ian Dolly, and the Korean student Ye-Jun Park, played by Jim Kaplan. Angus responds to these young students in a detached manner, even though he understands their pain in certain moments due to the older students. Teddy Kuntz and Jason Smith, played by Brady Hebner, and Michael Provost. When Jason's parents arrive and offer to bring the other students for their ski trip, Hunnam contacts most of the students' parents except for Angus's mom and his stepfather. Once the other students leave, Payne spends the rest of his feature exploring the identities and struggles of Paul, Angus, and Mary at Barton Academy and other locations. Through his rebellious actions and Paul's frequent pursuit to control him, particularly in a humorous shoulder dislocation sequence, Angus slowly conveys his internal conflicts of depression since they relate to his mother's choice to ignore him because she wants to forget about his father's early onset dementia and other psychological disorders. Payne initially treats the father's absence from Angus's life as a death due to Angus's response to Paul after the Christmas party. The circumstance reveals itself when Angus tries to escape from a screening of Arthur Penn's Little Big Man by riding in a taxi. Audiences learn more about the curmudgeonly Paul through these experiences with Angus and Mary by delving into his acceptance of being alone, his early troubles as a Harvard student, and lying to his former peer to present himself as successful rather than a failure by their perspective. There is one significant conversation between Angus and Paul about Angus's mother's opinion of her son because Paul's investment in the traditional notion of motherly love will reach a subversion in the final quarter. Mary's grief over her son is palpable in small moments in one big situation at a Christmas party when drinking and thinking of an album her late son Curtis loves as it plays. Custodian Danny, played by Naheem Garcia, arrives at the Christmas party by Barton Academy's secretary, Miss Lydia Crane, played by Carrie Preston, and wants to spend time with Mary. Mary jokes about people wanting her to be in charge of the music, and it initially startles Danny due to the expectations many white people impose on black people for their satisfaction. When Paul speaks about history explaining the present, the same idea evokes Payne's consideration of these lives and how their past informs their behavior. By exploring these characters and their era, the angst of the Vietnam War's impact on America is subtly apparent through Mary's backstory and the possibility of Angus going to military school when his mother and stepfather find out about Angus seeing his father at a mental hospital. When Paul chooses to lie by mentioning his decision to take Angus to see his father, Paul saves Angus from the possibility of facing death in combat. The growth of Paul's character from a professor despising Angus to acknowledging his intelligence and potential for excellence is rewarding in its sincerity. Since he loses his job, the opportunity offers Paul to leave and begin a new journey as he encounters Mary and Angus one last time before departure. Most mainstream directors would execute these final scenes as cheap ways to manipulate the viewer's emotions, but Payne exhibits Ashby's compassionate ease when directing them. The last shot of Paul leaving Barton Academy with a U-Haul emanates the essence of possibility audiences feel when Harold walks away with a guitar in Harold and Maude, and when Miles Raymond goes up the staircase to knock on Maya Randall's door in Sideways. In its artistic recreation of 1970, the period details never call attention to themselves because they naturally feel a part of a lost 70s gem by the late Hal Ashby. Payne avoids endless allusions to popular culture from the time because he understands how annoying nostalgia is in much of contemporary art. By embracing dissolves frequently, Payne refers to editor Kevin Tent to emphasize the character's feelings and motivations through the elegantly precise cinematography. Payne's restraint in period execution should be a subject of study for current and future artists when creating a previous era. Even when the music is not from the era, the music such as Damien Gerardo's lyrical Silver Joy meshes with the ethos of music by Cat Stevens and the Chambers Brothers. Silver Joy's inclusion within the motion picture's introduction complements the powerful essence of how Ashby would incorporate music through his masterpieces. When one watches Harold and Maude or The Landlord, it is difficult not to recall Cat Stevens's If You Want to Sing Out, Sing Out, and the Staple Singers' God Bless the Children. Music can be an integral merit when a movie resonates, and Payne follows in Ashby's footsteps with his choices in The Holdovers. Along with its intricate vision of 1970, the performances complement the beauty of the locations and the nuances of their characters with genuine pathos. On the surface, the notion of Giamatti returning to play a cynic for Payne may seem conventional. However, Paul Hunham is a cynic whom Miles Raymond would find elitist in his approach toward others, particularly his students. While portraying the sorrow within the character and his sarcastic surface, Giamatti is convincing in balancing those characteristics in his performance. Randolph also handles the humor and heartache evenly through Mary by presenting her complex emotions regarding the people in her environment, such as the Holdovers being more privileged than her, but noting their loneliness due to missing their families. Brimming with confidence and subduing Angus's depression, Sessa is exemplary in authentically portraying the character's behavioral complications. Each performer recognizes and presents the humanity from within Payne's vision, and their era of socio-political strife may speak to those who feel similar after the pandemic or are uncertain about where America will lead politically. Referring to Paul's quote again about history explaining the present, Payne delves into this truth about the contemporary era as Ashby's spirit lives within his artistry. If The Holdovers is Payne's final comedy drama concerning Ashby's influence due to his interest in making a Western akin to Anthony Mann, another one of Payne's heroes, the movie is a masterful culmination of what Payne represents for numerous viewers and a reminder of one of New Hollywood's oldest rebels. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great night.